Hello, and welcome everyone. Today we are diving into Brennus, the latest addition to the game, a fearsome post-war twist on the Croiseur de Bataille concept. With 7 massive 305mm guns and a price tag of 60,000 research points, this ship is ready to potentially make some waves. Brennus is named after the legendary Celtic chieftain Brennus, and now she's back in action, not as an Henri IV experiment, but as a standalone powerhouse. Oldtimers might remember her testing days, but now Brennus returns with high armor-piercing penetration, very good ballistics, and excellent speed to help you outmaneuver your foes. Equipped with an improved engine boost, repair party, and even 6 torpedoes per side for close combat surprises, Brennus really is built for versatility. But it's not all golden. Her slow turret rotation, low salvo weight, and relatively light armor means you'll need every bit of skill to master her. But if you like that playstyle of being able to rapidly maneuver around the battlefield, striking from unexpected angles, and punishing enemy broadsides, Brennus could be for you. Let's start this review guide of the Brennus proper. Now I will include some chapters, including the build and the individual sections, to allow you to surf through the video more easily to find whatever information you need, but we'll start with the build that I'm using. There is a lot of discussion to be had with this, as I think there are a lot of slight variations that are quite valid. One could quite easily use priority target, and the heavy AP skill is quite valid also. It all depends about your individual and personal playstyle, but this is what I have been using primarily, just buffing into a little bit of extra AA, as normally with any test ship or a new ship in the game with enemy carriers in the game, they will be coming for you. So I have buffed into AA. I'll continue to discuss the build as we go through the video. Our guns, torpedoes, everything else, maneuverability, etc. So we'll start with the armor layout. Now Brennus is relatively lightly armored, 25mm fore-end plating and aft-end plating. Just using a simple port screenshot here. The deck plating is 30mm, the armor belt is 30mm, there is a torpedo protection of 30mm, and underneath the torpedo protection there is a main armor belt of 140mm. The armor viewer was a little bit bugged in port, I couldn't actually render it though, but there is a full armor belt of 140mm running from the front turret to the rear turret. The superstructure is 16mm. Main battery gun turrets get a frontal plate of 305mm, side plating of 270, and a top sloped plating of 150mm. And the rear plate is also 270mm. So the turrets are relatively well armored. If we take a look at the Brennus' citadel, you can see here it runs from the rear to the front turret, slightly raised above the waterline. Always a concern. The front artillery chip is 160 and it's 140 at the stern, and the deck plating on the citadel is 80mm. So being lightly armoured, speed and manoeuvrability will be key, and keeping your distance, obviously, especially in the opening phases when dueling with long-range battleships at the start of games. Now this ties in to the ship's survivability. With this build, you get 57,800 hit points and a torpedo protection damage reduction of 19%. This is quite important because you don't get access to any hydroacoustic search. You have a damage control party, a speed boost or engine boost that does boost your speed by 20%, and the hit points are reinforced by having 4 repair parties with this build. With the India Delta signal flag mounted, Brennus is capable of repairing 346 hit points per second for 28 seconds. So here we start coming to the fun stuff, and it's the main battery. Now, Brennus gets 7 of these 305mm guns, 2 twin-mounted gun turrets on the bow, and 1 triple-mounted turret on the stern. So 7 of these 305mm barrels in total. They have a very nice reload of 11.9 seconds, They can rotate 180 degrees in 30 seconds. The max dispersion on these guns is 161 meters and a very nice firing range of 20.3 kilometers. You get 2 damage types, high explosive and armor piercing. With the high explosive, you get a max damage of 4,250, a very good fire chance of 25%. They contain 51 millimeters of armor, which is very nice, and a very good shell speed of 905 meters per second. The armor piercing on entering the enemy citadel can inflict a max damage of 8,700 and has a slightly slower shell speed of 870 meters per second. So very slight adjustments needed when swapping ammo types. These guns I do find to be quite accurate and perform both very well. Both the AP and high explosive are both very useful. It all depends on the angle and the position of the enemy target. I do like having gun feeder to be able to very rapidly swap between gun types. The minimum shell type switching time is just 7.1 seconds. Brennus also comes with reasonable secondary armament, 6 twin mounted 127mm turrets. So you get 6 of these 127mm guns on each side. They have a reload time of 3.6 seconds, firing high explosive shells. Max firing range on these is 8.7 kilometers. They can inflict a max damage of 1800 with a fire chance of 9%. They contain 21 millimeters of armor and have a shell speed of 808 meters per second. Brennus also comes with surprisingly strong torpedo armament. You get 4 X triple mounted torpedo launchers, 2 on each side, and these have outstanding torpedo angles, whether both advancing or retreating. They have a max firing range of 9 kilometers. They can inflict just under 15,000 damage and have a torpedo speed of 60 knots and a detectability range of 1.3 kilometers. So whether YOLOing towards a target or torping something that is trying to chase you, these torpedo angles and damage and sheer amount of torpedoes that you have is very useful, adding to Brennus's versatility. Brennus also gets access to the depth charge airstrike, an operational range of 8 kilometers and a reload time of 25.5 seconds, 2 available flights, 1 aircraft per attack flight dropping 2 bombs, and these bombs have a max damage of 4,900, so quite decent. 8 kilometer operational range on these airstrikes to counter enemy submarines. In terms of AA defense, now I have slightly buffed the AA using focus fire training to add an additional shell explosion to the black salvo. It also reduces the airstrike, reload time and priority sector reinforcement, so just nice little buffs to the AA. But that being said, it all combined pumps out a continuous average damage of 238, 6 shell explosions per flak salvo with a max damage of 1680, priority sector reinforcement of 75% and a max firing range of 6 kilometers. The actual AA guns consists of 5 single mounted 20mm Oerlikons and 8 quad mounted 40mm Bofors. And what we've already looked at, the secondary battery, is dual purpose, the 6 twin mounted 127. So the AA is functional. AA defense rating of 71. Now, due to your positioning, you're going to be sitting very close to other battleships, escorting them, and you can also very much take advantage of their AA bubbles. So this does augment your own AA quite significantly. In terms of maneuverability, and this I find is one of Brennus's greatest strengths, a max speed of 36.8 knots. Now this is further reinforced by having the engine boost consumable, and this does boost your max speed considerably by 20%. Now what that actually equates to is a max speed of 44 knots when sailing in a straight line with your engine boost active. Now this is quite significant. This is a very high speed cruiser. Combine this with a relatively decent turning circle radius of 840 meters and a rudder shift time of 11.2 seconds. I am using the propulsion mod. Now you could reduce your rudder shift time down to 9 seconds when using the steering gears mod, but I love the ability of having propulsion to be able to quickly accelerate and decelerate to avoid incoming shells in combination with your speed boost. This is very, very effective. The only drawback I will say is using the engine boost mod in slot 2, and this is really quite valid. Your fires do burn for long duration, so depending on your own personal preferences, again, you could quite easily slot in just the damage control system in the upgrade slot 2 instead of engine boost mod. Now that will reduce the engine boost duration down to 180 seconds, but taking less fires, and there's a very good example when I'm dueling with a Yodo in this game. The incoming fires is quite punishing at times, so it is quite a valid choice to go for the damage con system. And 3 minutes duration on the engine boost is still very, very good indeed. So finally, stats wise, with a full concealment build, Brennus gets a detectability rating or a concealment rating of 55. This equates to a surface detection range of 13 kilometers. So you'll be detected by enemy surface ships at 13 kilometers. Enemy submarines and enemy aircraft will be able to detect you at 6.7 kilometers. So this is the Brennus. High speed, very accurate guns, hard hitting guns, long range, preferably long range artillery cruiser. This will be available in update 13.9 in the Research Bureau for 60,000 research points. So I hope you enjoyed this review guide of the Brennus. If you'd like to see some live gameplay, feel free to come over and visit me on Twitch. Feel free also to check out our short video section where I'm adding content on a daily basis about famous maritime, naval, historical events in the past, and my community post section. So until the next time, I let this game play out. Keep sailing it like you stole it, guys. Until the next time.
Pénétration confirmée.